Your grandson gone?
Huh?
Eli, has he left?
Yeah, he came. Came through and gave him training. He was at.
Take it out.
No, man, that's you. That's your signature, brother. No, I took the hat off because the last time we did it, when I was leaning down, you couldn't see my face or anything.
Oh, okay.
Because I was turned toward you, so all the brim was hiding my face.
Okay, gotcha.
That's your signature, brother.
It is.
Signature, brother. So on the brim was hiding my face.
Okay.
That's a good sound now.
All right. One more. But that's good. For your neck, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Is that still recording, Gary?
I do have a sound bite for the music I want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to see how we tie that into having a constant, a steady
Okay.
soundtrack to.
So you want music up under it?
No, just like introducing, you know,
The
as it come
intro
in,
and the close.
yeah.
Gary, Winston was saying he has a opening and close that we can go ahead and
Add to
put it in the
it.
system.
You had to send it to me.
Okay.
Put it. Put it in there.
It's a thing of Minister Farragon with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's change the world. Let's
Okay.
change the world. Let's change the world. It's nice look at and everything. Yeah.
Very
There you
good.
go.
That's quite a combination now.
Okay. So let's see.
Give us a countdown. We ready to go, Doc. Load this up.
So. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Chaplain's Podcast. I am J. Francis Springs. It is an honor and a joy to once again be here with you and to be a part of this podcast with Pastor Winston Paul. Pastor Winston, talk to us a minute. Tell us a little bit about what the Chaplain's Podcast is about.
Well, the Chaplain Podcast is I'm looking at galvanizing those within the listener order, parishioners, pastors, parishioners, to come into a dialogue area of the purpose and where we are as the mission of the church nowadays. And people are talking about the great falling away of the church now. But we have to reevaluate ourselves and say, what are we doing to reach the masses of people right now. And what is our message? Message is so divided and split, and not with clear direction right now that, we're just going through a format of rituals and so forth and church. So I mean, we need to address our educational process within our churches, and also what are we doing economically to develop community within our churches.
For the viewer out there today, how does the Chaplain's Podcast play into their life?
How does it play? Well, I'm hoping that it will create dialogue with and have leaders and discussions on with liberation theologists, economic development people, things of that's with the challenging, giving direction, but also challenging the mind of thinking what the institutionalized religion or churches have done, and how I think have crippled our community and churches and communities at the same time. We can be our greatest gift, also our greatest curse.
Right. Listen, I grew up in the church, literally. I think in one of the last broadcasts I talked about the fact that I was a drug child. I was drugged to church 7 days a week. Today's church, compared to the principles that the parents were trying to teach us then, and I'm a septuagenarian, so I'm not a young child, not a spring chicken, as folks say.
Yes, sir.
What is the challenges today that the church is facing versus what it was during my childhood or yours?
The challenge that they're facing today, that we're facing our time. I think we're facing some of the same things, just in a different time and era. But I mean, it was a clear difference,
Right.
In everything. And like I said, I like you, like myself, I've been in church and been drugged to church all my life. That was pretty much my out. And everything, and I mean, I only stepped away for a few years in going to college, and found my way back to the church. And the church, to me, I mean, at that point in time, I always wanted to be a part of a church that first that has some leadership in it and some strong men in it that were doing something and were relative to the community.
Right.
I was so happy. My pastor, when I was licensed, was the late Reverend Arnold McKinney, and in which he taught me and invested his time with me and gave me such wisdom. But he always told me to read everything that I could get my hands on. He said, but read it against the text. He wasn't one that just accepted things as it was institutionalized or doctrinal things. He questioned things and everything to the degree that he would challenge you and his parishioners to question things and challenge things. So I think we have to challenge the mind and challenge the growth and the uplift of people and their thinking and how they operate. Because it seems like we seem to be going into a circle of thing of just rituals and so forth.
Exactly.
in the church. I think we need to reexamine that. And like I say, let us ask the question: what is our purpose? What is our mission? At this point and everything. My background is my father told me, say, if you want to be a part of change, you need to be a part of it. So I've been in the church all my life. The late Reverend Arnold McKinney and the late Dr. Cameron Alexander, who was one of a great administrative pulpiteer during my day. I've sat with him for 10 years while attending seminary. Then I went from seminary. I even started a outreach church in one of the hotels we had in downtown Atlanta.
Okay.
During that time while attending seminary. After completing seminary, not wanting to just teach or go back into the school system, I went into the military, served as a military chaplain for 9 years, 6 months to be exact. And then came out, and my last duty station was in the Charleston, South Carolina area, in which I then served, was trying to move back to Georgia, but ended up getting called to a little small church there in rural Charleston, a place called Bono, South Carolina, in which I pastored there seven years. there, but now here back in Atlanta, and I really want to move go to another level of conversation and creating dialogue with others, because sometimes we're taboo. You know, we have these jargons or religious sayings, and we quote things, but how are we living those things
Exactly.
and how do we bring those things into fruition? One thing I've said, we always the church has failed to do that I've seen. We had educational process. Where you have you this is what we believe, and the indoctrination when you come into the church. But we really hadn't had educational balance within our church, where we bring in our academians and and kind of expand our way of thinking and teaching. I think that's part of our challenge in everything that, and establishing systems that that can also be used across the board with the different associations and groups within the churches, the Baptist, National Baptist, or Southern Baptist, whatever group you're part of, that where you could use systems that we could use top down.
Exactly.
We haven't really established anything such as that. The most established group out there who's proven in them to establish the system, to me, is the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And I don't mind saying that.
Okay.
I think they're proven. They have a proven track record of changing and taking men off the streets, educating them, lifting them up, respecting the women, and corralling and teaching women and men in a balance of self and a respect of self, where we can come back and be the family and the institution that we should be as a whole, as a family and a community.
I want to come back to that in just a second, but you mentioned one of the icons and heroes for me in religion here in Atlanta and Christianity. That's Dr. Cameron Alexander. And Cameron, from the style that I saw, was a teaching preacher.
Yeah.
And there's a difference in a teaching preacher and a preaching teacher. And he was a teaching preacher that when you left your church or left the church, the service, you had something you could take with you all week long.
Right.
Not knocking anybody's style today, but I find that a lot of them are into this empowerment, or they're into where can you make you $1, or they're into the charismatic part of the church. What are the differences in those two styles today?
Wow. Well,
Let me get deep on
well,
you.
no. That's what Dr. Cameron Alexander, peace be upon him, was one of my greatest teachers. But
Yes, sir.
he always allowed you in the room to learn and everything. You may learn in silence, but you learn and everything. But I learned most of that from him is by his he was an administrator.
Right.
He brought the best right. He had the best around him to help bring the ideas he wanted into fruition. He was one, I would say, was much on economic development.
Okay.
I remember him trying to pull the different churches from the South and in the North together. For starting trying to build a hotel in Albany, Georgia.
Right.
Starting a school in another place. Have farmland down in Forsyth County. Buying up parcels of land within your church community. It was a plan that should have been duplicated and followed through, not only just by him as him and the individual where he was, but anybody who came up under him. If you just leave someone like that and just go out just to preach,
right,
I think you kind of missed the mark in what you saw. We really saw him developing and leaving a legacy in which that church will live on, like some white churches. They something happened, they not just had bare bones because of it's a falling away of the offering at the time. I think that it's a somewhat of, like I said, what he has built and left that they can sustain on and properly manage. And right now, my brother Kenny Alexander following in his father's footsteps. Not sure what he's doing. But he's just like his father in his charismaticness and preaching and everything. But I also, those are brothers I will be talking with and meeting with. Now, they will disagree with some of my philosophy on things, but that's okay. I'm that same Winston Keith Paul that they met 30 years ago.
Right.
So I'm saying God, but I have grown and expanded my ideas and thoughts, and I acknowledge work of others who have gone before me, and I acknowledge the work of the Nation of Islam, who I think we should acknowledge and look closer to instead of being we are at odds against each other for us, being Muslim a Christian or whoever you may be, a nationalist or the Israelites and so forth. I mean, we have these different groupings of and ideologies of thinking, but still, I mean, at this point in time, we're at a time that we must unify as a people to make sure that during these times of what's taking place within our side, right in front of our eyes, turning the clock right. How are we posturing ourselves as the church?
Yeah.
That has to be questioned.
Right. Interestingly, you were talking about the discipline that you find in the Muslim community, and that particular tradition that they have, it's sort of like a step ladder or a ladder where you recognize the power that be and you respect it. It's good for the family. Now, while we were getting ready to come on for this broadcast, and by the way, folks, this is the Chaplain's Podcast. Brother Winston is going to be on every week here on Phoenix Media Entertainment Group with the podcast. And if you want to be a guest, we'll in the future give you a little bit of information about how you can reach out and be a guest on the program. I'm honored to be co-hosting with him today and for the first broadcast that we did. So in the future, as we were saying, if you want to be on the broadcast, we're going to give you some information very, very soon as to how you can come on and have the same conversation. Winston, you're a very well-read man. I was rambling, or some people say signifying in your books. And I saw that you had the meaning of the Quran and several other great books. How do you compare the two books together, the Bible versus the Quran?
Well, it's very simple. Really, the Quran to me is more of a commentary to the Bible. It really opens up some insights to the text itself. Okay. And so that's how I look at it. And it reads in such a way. It's like poetry. Yes. In such a sense when you read the Quran. But also when you listen to the minister, how he breaks things down and how he talks about things. I'm not the one who can be as articulate and charismatic as a minister. So I really advise those that you really just just listen to him. I mean, we're so I used to go to see the minister anywhere, anytime he was close or near me. So I've had a presence, but you'll be there. Yeah, I mean, being able to sit in one place for 2 to 3 hours and not move, but you still
discipline once again.
But you still held in awe. Yeah. About what he's talking about, what he's speaking about, what he's teaching about, and so it's so much that it's just to go back and just take in and listen over again some of the teachings and of what he's talking about. And at this time, I started listening to the minister when I was first left and went to college in 1983 and got a cassette of him. Okay. And everything, riding around in my 1983 Regal. Listen to the and listen to the minister, and hey, to listen to him now. I came from a Baptist background, and was I had to adjust and kind of some things was different when it hadn't been presented. Yeah. But I saw the time that the proof, and I ended up going on the seminary. After finishing up undergrad and so forth, I understand and found the truths in what he was saying, and the balance of the prophecy of the Bible and the Quran. It's, yeah, and as I stated before, the Bible is a historical book. It's not a history book. And if you're reading as a history book, you are going to be misled because it's showing you don't know timelines and the length of time of things. We sometimes as preachers, well, you know, I've heard a preacher say not long ago, but you know, about the existence of 4,000 to 6,000 years.
Yes.
And he think that's how long we've been around. And I say, no, I say that, brother. I say I have to correct you on that. The earth has been, people have been around millions and everything. Everything we've been around millions of years, and if you, according to the ministry, I think trillions, and everything. But scientifically, we're proven to be around for millions. Then now there are people who hadn't been around but 6,000 years, a little over 6,000 years. That's a thing of dialogue. It's not a thing of debate because it can be proven. So it's not a thing of dialogue. It's a thing of, I mean, not a thing of debate. It's a thing of dialogue. And how things came to be and how races and so forth came to be. These teachers are there. And we don't understand sometimes how to, and we understood time, dialogue, time frames. You know, when we look at the pyramids, I think the last one is said to be 50,000 years old. So I mean, what are we talking about when you just talking about something that just been around 4 to 6,000 years? Is it? But the books of the Bible have been around longer than that.
Okay.
And everything. I mean, these books, you find these different books, the Genesis, in all different parts of the world, India, and different where you have different writings that are very much the same writings in different places and everything. You have gone places in Japan and China, and you find out that hey, they're Black China.
Yes.
And they ain't just got there.
Yes.
They've been there. You know, and everything. These different parts of the world that we have been in, and you know, the four corners of the earth. So when you really look at the Bible, I mean, it's more to saying that, you know, some want to say, well, yeah, yes, Christianity came out of Africa and so on and so forth. Well, I mean, yes, and some of the teachers are from that part of the world. Ethiopia. People quote it and said the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest Bible. But I mean, even in that compilation of thing, those are still books from wealth of knowledge from a period of time longer than that.
Right.
So we just can't put one thing and think we got the whole thing. One thing about the nation and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you have to go to the root.
Okay.
Of anything if you want to learn it, but we're still surface dwellers right now.
So
you know,
they hadn't even touched.
We haven't even touched a lot of things, and we still hadn't built a system. We talk. It's just like we did with Black History Month. We quote our iconic figures, but we hadn't studied them. You know, we hadn't studied Du Bois. We hadn't really studied Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Frederick Douglass. They left a system for you to look at and go for. I mean, we hadn't even studied. I mentioned about the other week about economic profile that Dr. Claude Addison put out, who's worked with presidents and government all through his life, and then just came out and started, you know, teaching us what we need to do as a group. We had that gentleman should have been going through all our churches and giving us a background of what we need to do. And we should have, by now, we should have a system.
How to create wealth.
How to create wealth, I mean, and not all these stuff. I mean, and there's a number of groups out there and people out there. And one thing you can do right now, you can see the fruit of the labor of the nation by different groups and individuals who are out there doing things and so forth. So I would like to also lift them up and point to those guys who I see out there. Anthony Broder, who was an anthropologist and so forth, goes back and forth to Egypt and breaks down information in the simplest way. His books are thin, paperback books are thin. You can read through them in a day, afternoon, and get a wealth of information. I mean, you got Dr. Greg Carr. I want to say Greg Carr. Him and this young lady Kara. They have a setting now where they're teaching and educating. He teaches at I believe Harvard, not Harvard. Howard, where Brother Rock Newman has his station out of the basement of it.
Okay.
If you hadn't checked out Brother Rock Newman, he's a good person to check out. He just have different individual out who just sharing knowledge from different eras and different times. And truth about how things came to be. So I mean, the knowledge is out there. It's what we're looking at,
Right?
And everything. And we need to go back and be more studious. In that way, when the book says you study, you show yourself approved. You know, it's not talking about just regurgitating scripture. I think that it say study the ant. But you can't study the ant by studying the Bible. You got to go study the ant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you got to study. I mean, we got to. He said, teach them to observe all things, not some things.
Okay.
He said, teach them to observe all things. One of the great commands at the end. So I mean, we're not observing all things. You know, people are running circles around us. I mean, we look at the phones we have now, and what it takes for these phones to do what they do.
Yes.
And where they're getting the chips and all that, making the chips from the minerals in which they extract from Africa, parts of Africa. So, well, I mean, it's so much that we don't talk about that we need to begin to talk about and so forth. From just on a systematic thing of building to economics to a constructive teaching on we need to revisit our belief system and how we're have been taught about it and everything, because it's more revelation to what we have before us than meets the eye.
Gotcha. This is the Chaplain's Podcast, folks. My brother, Winston Paul, is giving us some heavy stuff this afternoon. And Winston, what brought you into the pulpit?
I mean, it was something that you asked me what we call a quote, I call it. It was something, like I said, I've been in church all my life. For me to get out of the house, I had to be a part of the Boy Scouts, the choir, the usher board.
Yeah.
I was a junior superintendent in Sunday. I was a part of everything, but that was my way out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
No, man, I leave that out. But anyway,
trained up the child.
Yeah. And so I felt that I had a calling early on in my life was to preach. Matter of fact, I was in the battlefields of South Georgia in Ambrose, Georgia. With my cousin. I told him, man, I'm gonna preach, you know. And I was probably a teenager right then, but I ran from it all that time. I knew I used to, you know, once I left home, hey, I was out. It was it. I was out the back. I was free, but I still wrestle with it. And I used to come in from the club at times, and I would call my sister, you know, tell her, you know, hey, I'm struggling with this and everything. And she said, well, just do what you need to do, and everything. And I knew that there was something that was special that I needed to do, but I didn't want. At that time, I was really began to enjoy life.
Right.
I wasn't doing bad at all. And everything pleasing, but I wasn't doing much at school at the time. But I always worked and was in insurance and sales of some sort. So I was doing well, but it was always this tug.
Yes.
Pulling me in. And so my son was born my freshman year in college. And my parents called me on the phone. They said, you have a son to take care of and everything. And they say they saw him before I did.
Okay.
So I said, okay. And I was already working and everything. But I prayed to God at that time and everything. I say, Lord, if you help me to take care of my son. I say by the age of 20, I'm compromising with the Lord. I think by the age of 20, I'm cutting the deal. By the age of 25, I say I would have answered your call. So happened that and this is a long roundabout story, but you asked
Talk to me, brother.
I had kind of fell on some hard times. I moved back home for a few months. It was the beginning of the year, and I was sitting in the back of the church. I just came from the club the night before.
Yeah,
had one twisted in the Jeep outside and everything. and the pastor sent his wife, by Sister McKinney, back to the back of the church. I had never talked to this man before. I met him, but really at my grandmother's funeral. He had been pastoring there probably a few years now, but I was off in school.
Okay.
And he had his wife bring me to the front of the church, and he draped his arms across my shoulders. And he asked me when I was going to answer my call to the ministry. And then he held out his hand to the podium. And it was like I went through this transit thing.
Okay.
Like quantum leap.
Yes, yes.
It's like, this transit, I'm like, wow. And so I told the church of my calling to the ministry. I went to my cousin's house afterwards, and sat down with him. He's a prodigy preacher, Bishop Michael James, and I went and talked to him. And then I'm like, man, I can't do it. I said, I just left the club last night. I said, matter of fact, I got a joint in the car now, And so, I went to them like he told me these words right here. He said, it's like you're in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
He said, you got to further go forward as you do to go back. And I just been on this journey ever since. It's been up and down, it's been a growth thing, but I don't think you're supposed to stay where you are. I mean, you're supposed to have a thing of growth in your life. So I'm not nowhere the same with where I started from.
Okay.
I've struggled with what I've learned. Some people, but I've grown away from some people I would talk to religiously, but I know that's where they are. And if they don't want to challenge that way, they don't want to think outside the box. So that's been the process of my calling. Because I don't consider myself just a quote unquote Christian. My God is universal.
Come on.
And everything. So God I serve is bigger than that. And when we think about the term where Christian came, the terminology where Christian came from, in the book of Acts, when they was named Christian, they was talking about these fanatics.
Right.
It wasn't a endearing term. Other than it's talking about those people who's talking about followers of Christ. It wasn't his name Christ. We had like Jesus. His name was Jesus Christ. I mean, that was a title.
Exactly.
He was anointed. He was one who was enlightened and so forth. So, I mean, we have to think about more on what terminology means and what it is. And we think about those things, I think it would broaden who we are, and we wouldn't be confined to doctrines.
Right.
And we'll be more or less be the best who we are. Because if you on your last $2 and everything, that song, your last $2. But Jesus said, on these two things, I hang all the commandments and he'll say, to love the Lord thy God with all our heart, soul, and mind. And the neighbor as thyself. If you can live on those two things, what else do you need? Because that's the premises and the basis of how you treat one another and how you do and act according to one another. So how can you love God who you never seen
And not love
your brother? This basic stuff.
Yeah.
If we just start with the basics, we could be out because I don't want nobody slapping on me or anything, so I'm not going to slap with you. So when you think about this evangelical thing and what's going on within our society, we need to think about what we've been taught and how we've been institutionalized in this society. And when we look at the system of racism, it's in our education, it's in our economics, it's in our entertainment, it's in our labor, it's in our politics, it's in our religion, and it's in our law, and it's in even in war. And we listen to Dr. Francis Dr. Francis Wesley. I have to get that name, her last name, Dr. Francis. If you pull her up, she was a psychologist, but she was a theorist also for dealing with the psyche of man,
right,
and so forth, and teaching. And we go back and look at somewhere where we look at some of Dr. Henry Clark's work and George G.M. James, their body of work of history. I think it was Dr. Brother. I Okay, it wasn't the car. I think Smalls. I think his last name is Smalls. He said, you know, if you learn the history, you erase the mystery. You know, and a lot of us is caught up on mystery and not history. And that's why it has to be a retraining and a rethinking about how we think and how we teach things and how we talk. Because it'll get rid of a lot of the mystery of things.
Now, as we're talking about education here, what are some of the books that you would recommend for a new or fledgling Christian that's struggling with his or her life?
You know, that's when you ask that, you ask it in such a way that for somebody who needs some inspiration to get through something.
Yes, sir.
And I think I'm not trying to be this is not inspiration, it's education.
Exactly.
And education, you can get inspiration. I mean, when you talk right and talk the fact and everything. So I mean, when you think about, I mean, you got to. I just always want to know about my past and my background and so on and so forth. And what I found out lately, mostly, man, just to study American history itself and its true self, you study your history.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so I mean, when I used to tell my parishioners, you know, we need to learn, know our history. They thought we always talking about who we were in Africa and this and that. No, knowing history is knowing history. Mm-hmm. We'll find out that we've been just misled and mistaught. As it said, in, I think Revelation 12:9, Satan has deceived the whole world. I think we're in the world.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and he's deceived the world through those teachings, through a system of teaching. So, if we're talking about the kingdom of God coming, then we got to understand that we can't assimilate into this system and everything. We have to create a new system, being that is the kingdom of God coming. But we're too busy assimilating right now and becoming a part of the system that and truly, Satan is and his time is on the way out, but he has been the ruler. This world.
Been running rampant.
Yeah, been running rampant. He gave me, like in Joe, he said, he let touch him, but see that when Satan came up with the sons of God and stood before God, he said, well, Satan, what you doing? He said, well, I'm just going to and fro, up and down. To and fro, up and down. I mean, you think about that. He's been when I was growing up, I was taught. I remember so deeply embedded in me. I mean, before I was a teenager, I was taught against Egypt. Okay. I was taught against science. I was taught against evolution and everything. And these basic things, I mean, are where you're rooted in. And everything. So I mean, we can't get around those type of things and think we just know real truth.
So you already had your own concept of creation.
I didn't have my own cross. I just wanted. I was asking questions.
Okay.
And everything. And I mean, really through listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that I got clarity. I mean, he brought both texts together. Yeah. The Quran and the Holy Bible, the Bible. And when you read through, I mean, once you listen, I mean, it's not rocket science once you listen and get some understanding of it. But he's gonna say, and all you're getting, get understanding. And that's what we're failing at. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. But they say in that next verse, say because they reject. They're rejecting the truth. I mean, it's here right now. I mean, the truth. He said you should know the truth, and the truth should set you free.
Amen.
But I mean, we at that time are of a truth era. But we got to listen and open our eyes and see and not be tied to. If you can prove something, that's no longer something you got to believe in. Belief is something is like the faith. It's something faith. Having faith. For evidence of something not seen. Right. But once you see it, then I mean that's what it is. It's a fact now.
Okay.
And to be duplicated and reproduced.
This is the Chaplain's Podcast, folks. Our host today is Brother Winston Paul. Winston, I'm going to put you on the spot. Somebody out there is struggling with something in their life right now. Give them a word of encouragement.
Well, you're your biggest asset.
Yeah.
He said, "Greater is He that is within you than he that's within the world." So I mean, it's a thing of believing in self. I mean, and I mean, God is within. Well, that was another thing I learned that as a little boy. This was the temple of God.
Okay.
It wasn't the church. It wasn't a four corner building. This is the temple of God.
Right.
This man, he sits here on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we realize that and start being able to think more clearly of who we are and believe and trust in who we are, then I mean you got to believe in self and believe in self and well, if you can conceive it,
You can believe it.
you can believe it and you can do it. I mean,
And achieve.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's a process, and it's not it is a process of and everything to working out this thing and working out things that you've been indoctrinated in. It's a process of coming out of and wanting to learn. Some people just don't want to know. They'd rather just living a lie
Right.
and not want to know the truth. I mean, so that's my thing. Believe in yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, my brother, is not only giving them the fish, but you're leading them to the fish place and
Yes,
feeding
sir.
them for a lifetime.
Yes, sir. We want to teach you how to fish.
Yeah.
You say you can give a fish, he'll eat for a day.
One day.
But you teach a man to fish,
Yeah.
he can eat for a lifetime.
One lifetime.
Yes, sir.
This is, once again, folks, this is the Chaplain's Podcast. Your host today is Brother Winston Paul. Winston, when can we see something different go on in this world? Can we expect it today, or do we have to continue to hope for something?
Oh, well, it's happening right now. I mean, it's what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's happening right now. I mean, there are people, there are movement shakers out there. There's creative thought that is out there on all levels for its business, economics, and so forth. I mean, and there's things out there who would in training how to be your better self and everything. But that takes a discipline. It's about your attitude and your want. I mean, anybody can tell, but if you're not willing to put in the work, I mean, then you kind of stay the same way. We have to be at some point. You have to be at a place that you're gonna be held accountable
Okay.
for your actions and so forth. And then as the old folks used to say, hey, I'm beating out because I don't want them to beat you later. You got
Get
to
beaten on the way home
yeah.
and get a beating at home.
yeah. So there has to be a point of accountability that you should be with a group that holds you accountable.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, and that's what I think about the Nation of Islam. They are always, everybody is a student minister. That means you always learning. See, we get a few degrees, we get a few, things behind a name. We think we have mastered something when we have. No, you're always a student. You just master what they wanted you to learn for that particular degree or so forth. But no, you never, if you're in a profession, really, there's always what you have going is continuous education.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's always continuous education, whatever field you're in, because things are always changing. Why don't we think that way in the church? Because things are always changing.
So the learning curve isn't flat. It's continually going up and down.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
Hey, great. This is the Chaplain's Podcast. Winston, we're going to ask you to share anything that you want to share with the audience today that we've not kind of talked about in our give and take session here.
Well, I mean, what I would like to, as we develop this and put up the webpage for this, there will be links to different groups or different people that I would recommend that you just listen to and everything. Educational, I mean,
Okay.
And if you're looking at economics, there's different groups out there that I would trust and listen to, but you have to do your own. I always put up the disclaimer because it's not on me, but those are people there are people in groups that I would make reference to for you to start listening to, and sometimes if there's always levels to things. You got to take steps with people. I mean, I'm not looking for someone to go from Anthony Browder. I think he's one of the first books I read.
Okay.
Simple but clear, and everything. And being that so many people suffer from attention deficit disorder, I mean, you can go to YouTube if you don't feel like reading. You can go to YouTube for
YouTube University.
YouTube University. It's out there. And stop looking at all that clown stuff and following people what's going on these reality shows and be about your own business and be about your own reality.
Folks, this is the Chaplain's Podcast. Now, this podcast is going to be on every Tuesday evening, and you'll have a chance to, again, in the very near future, be able to reach out to Brother Winston. I want to thank him for bringing me in as one of the co-hosts of this particular episode of the Chaplain's Podcast. Winston, give us closing thought or two before we get out of here.
I tell you, bro, you keep asking for a closing thought after closing thought.
Yeah, man. you got some heavy stuff there.
Man, we just got to step up and know at this time that this is the time that we need to unify. Pastors need to be collaborating with pastors. Parishioners need to be asking questions, and not just waiting and believing for something to come back for them.
Okay.
Satan's time is up. So what are you doing to be that transit and transformation in this process of this new world coming in? That's another topic.
Go for it. Go for it. A few minutes anyway.
Well, no, in growing up, I used to hear about this new world order.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. And, you was always scared about this new world order coming, and everything. But that, that was almost an antithetical what you're talking, because really, you all was supposed to be that new world order.
Yes.
And everything. We supposed to be that. We talking about the kingdom coming. That is it. But we were, we've been taught in such a way that we're not being the vehicle and the avenue in which we should be for this system coming in and everything. And we still chasing the system was already out.
Okay.
But if we want to improve and get to this new place where the kingdom of God or the kingdom is coming,
yes, sir,
then we got to be a part of that change. I don't know why people still waiting to die and go to something. You're gonna raise hell all your life, and then you think you're going to heaven. That bothers me. You did all this all your life, and nothing has changed.
Yes.
But you died and you going to heaven.
Yes.
And everything. That's another subject for another matter.
All right.
Yes, sir.
This is the Chaplain's Podcast. I am J. Francis Springs. Again, want to thank Brother Winston Paul for allowing me to be a co-host on this particular broadcast, and want you to keep watching Phoenix Media Entertainment Group. You're going to hear more inspiring inspiration from the Chaplain's Podcast.